Now on today's video we have some interesting information to share. I hope it's going to be of some value. We got some of the people, Scott and Clyde, showing, well, Clyde actually is done with his project and he already won his first trophy. And we have some pictures to share and of Scott's project. And what we try to do on this set of videos, and there's 35 of them now. I had no idea when I started doing these how popular they were going to be. They have turned out to be very popular, and many people have responded with pictures and stories to share. I love to share the comments that come in, even the ones that are kind of negative, but most of them are pretty positive. And the objective of what we do on this video is to share useful information, something that a lot of people are not prone to do. We're trying to share what we learned, and we certainly don't know everything there is to know about anything. But what we do know, and we have been able to restore some pretty nice motorcycles in the past, and you can watch this in full 4K.
So basically every winter in this part of the country is different than the winter before. I had no idea at the end of the riding season how it was going to evolve, but what happened was the weather went really south. We have rain almost every day. We had some snow, put a real crimp in our riding. And in the middle of the whole thing, Karen asked me to make her an office. So we took one of the empty rooms in our house that we weren't using and did a lot of spackling, a lot of painting, and just a lot of work, period. And we're about halfway through it now. And when that's done, we're going to get back to doing what we do best, riding motorcycles and maybe doing a little paint work. But right now, I have a special story on this question and answer. I want to get into that at the end of the video, but I'll just do a little intro to it now. We're going to get into this at the end of the video. This is a bike that belongs to Najat. It's one of 3 bikes he owns, 2 Ducatis and a Triumph, and a track bike. And it's been in storage for several years, and he's going to come over here one day next week, and we're going to try to see what needs to be done. Brakes, I know it's going to need an oil change. It definitely needs a battery. And we rescued these from Long Island. They were in storage in a garage on the coldest day of the year. That in itself would make an interesting video, but it was so cold I didn't even bother trying to shoot video. I want to get down to the shop where it's a lot warmer and have some coffee. Well, we'll deal with this at the end of the video. And just one thing before we even get started, go downstairs, I wanted to not forget this. The day we rescued these bikes, there was ice everywhere. It was under 20 degrees. My driveway was a hockey rink. And the 2 of us, Najat's a pretty strong guy, and my neighbor, who is a strong guy, it took 3 of us to get this bike up the driveway, and it was really dangerous. It sat here. I haven't moved it since we pushed it into the garage. I got to get downstairs where it's warmer. All right, so today I want to start with probably the worst topic that I could ever deal with if I had to pick something that I would love to eliminate out of my life. And everybody that's ever done any serious painting knows this is the worst thing. It's called fish eyes. Now last year, just to make the story so people get the whole picture here, I was working on a project for Vlad. In fact, we did 2 full projects and part of a 3rd one that went off the rails because we couldn't get parts. And, well, among other things, it goes beyond the thing. When you do 3 restorations in one winter, you're bound to have problems. But the worst thing of that whole winter, and every winter is different, of course, was Vlad had gotten some parts from one of the old collector bikes that were made out of carbon fiber, the old school way. And the old school way was they used release agents. They used Crisco for release agents and PVA, all kinds of stuff, wax. And what happens, it gets contaminated right into the fibers of the carbon fiber when you lay it in, or it's not done correctly, or both. Now, these parts, I don't know where they were made. I don't know who made them. But the fish eyes were, for me, I struggled with it. I put over $100 worth of clear onto that set of parts with negative results. It got worse every time I painted it. Sanding it made it worse. I was driving the fish eyes down into the carbon. Just a complete horror show. Now, I wanted to mention, because everybody I know out there, if you're a painter, you've had fisheye problems. Go look on YouTube. There's 1,000 videos of how to cure it, and at the end of it, they always say, oh yeah, good luck, Charlie. There's There's a reason. It's a very difficult thing. Paint and silicone or whatever is in the fisheye is not made to be together. So if you're a serious painter or you want to have show quality paint without fisheyes, and all you have to do is ask Turbo Steve. He made a seat, and I'll bet we spent a week of days trying to get rid of the fisheyes. He took the parts home, he sanded them, I sanded them, we sanded them. We went to Gavin's and bought special stuff that was guaranteed to cure fisheyes. Didn't cure them. Oh, I even put, and I'm going to deal with this a little bit later, I even put a moisture separator on my compressor to try to minimize it. But in the end, it's like trying to cure cancer. Every once in a while, you cure one, yeah. But there is no, like, do this and this will never happen kind of a cure. So if you know that ahead of time, you won't be disappointed. But there is a cure. Of course, there's always a cure. When you don't have carbon fiber that you want to see the carbon fiber weave, if you're not interested in seeing the weave, put on primer sealer and keep putting it on until you don't see fisheyes. Put 5 coats on if you have to, and then paint it. But you got to paint it black, and you don't see the carbon fiber. So Vlad did not want to do that. That was not one of the choices. So we're off. That was not. He wanted to keep the carbon look for his collector bikes. And keep in mind, his collection of collector bikes is pretty awesome, and it's very original and detailed and everything. So he's quite a guy. But anyway, we're up against the wall. We haven't given up yet, but I'm waiting for somebody to send me a cup of stuff that I can put in the paint and it'll go away. I've done every possible thing I can, but that's part of what you have to understand about painting is once in a while you don't get it. You gotta go to plan B where you paint the parts or something like that. Now, just for reference, and this is only for reference, I recently did this is what just reminded me, a video of my Spitfire bedroom, and the Tiger Cat, the black model with twin engine model there, I molded the fuselage from carbon fiber. One of the first models that was ever done, period. I still have the molds for that fuselage. That I struggled with fisheyes on that, using the material of the time, the Brodak dope and nitrate dope both combined. But there's an answer. When, in the end, what I did is I put tissue, silk span over it, because I didn't care if I wasn't trying to make it look like carbon fiber. So that's always, if you keep that in mind, that is critical information. I don't know how many people have come up with other solutions on YouTube, and thank you to everybody that shares this information. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, sometimes, you know, you just ask Napoleon. Sometimes you just got to surrender and throw the white flag up and go take one for the team. But anyway, that's all I can say is for the people that watched those videos and saw I came up on pretty much a dead-end street for now. We haven't totally given up, but on the other hand, because we're working on Karen's office now, and because of several other things, my grandson being on a basketball team, our time is so limited in the shop that we almost don't have any time to work in the shop. But keep in mind, May, the weather's going to clear up, I hope, and we'll be back to riding every day.
Now, this is from Clyde, and congratulations from me. That looks like a beautiful restoration to me. And if you got any valuable information or something useful off the videos, I'm really happy about that. I'm happy to see that you won a nice big trophy. Now, I don't know what to say. I don't go to bike shows anymore. I used to, but winning a trophy at a bike show, always a lot of fun, and that looks like an incredibly nice restoration. Congratulations, Clyde. All right, so this is one of the things I love about YouTube, and I keep track of this. I have my notes. Every day I add notes to this. People send in. They don't only watch the videos, and they're hopefully entertained and maybe even learn something, learn how to make a good cup of coffee or something. But sharing information. People that there's two philosophies in life. Number one is I know something, and ha ha ha, you don't know it, so I'm smarter than you. Well, we don't believe in that. What I had when I was trying to learn how to build model planes in the early 60s as a teenager, nobody shared anything. Boy, try to get information. Oh, yeah, you got to pay your dues, kid. Oh, yeah.
But, you know, and I was determined, when I learned something, I'm going to share it. And the good thing about sharing information, you share it and you still have it. You wish money was like that. You could go buy a bike and still have the money. Think about that. Anyway, this is a good example on why I love YouTube. Ken's Garage. And he watched the moisture separator video. And by the way, that is a good video to watch if you're looking to improve the air going out into your paintwork. It's a cheap investment. And there are plenty out there in every price range, and as far as I understand, they all do a pretty decent job. Anyway, there are some other good tips on that video too. I think I posted that a week or so ago. But anyway, he mentioned something, that the moisture separator should be as close to the gun as possible. I did not know that, and I didn't see that on any other videos that I looked for other information. There's also, if you're looking to really save money, they make moisture separators that are just a moisture separator. They don't have the little oil for doing power tools. You can save money, save a few bucks doing it that way. But anyway, that's one of the things I love about YouTube. And Ken, thank you for sharing that information.
There's another good little tip. This is from Scott out west. These are the faux Kawasaki. They're really not carbon fiber, but they have the little texture in them. And what he's trying to do is make a replica of my black bike with the gold trim, but with another model. And he had to sand all that off, and I told him you got to put primer sealer on that, keep sanding, get it flat before you put on any of the shiny black paint. And Scott, I hope it's good information. Some of the things I learned doing this project, there were a couple of parts up around the fairing that I had to sand off that textured flat black. I had to prime it with the self-sealing primer sealer, and the parts around the windshield, they had a texture to them. Inside by the instruments, they had a texture, and I spent a lot of time getting those parts flat and primed, but it seems like the years have gone by and they've held up pretty well, and I'm looking forward to seeing your project, your replica of this bike.
Now, this is a nice email, and we get all kinds of comments on the video. I'd say 99% of them totally positive, wanting to share fun, share the information. And sometimes you have a sad story or something. And this is a story, though, I can really relate to this, really on a personal level. From a fellow named Ahmed. Now, Ahmed commented on a video that he wants a bike, and he's saving everything and working very, very hard and saving every penny. He wanted a bike, and he's always wanted a bike he could, from what I can interpret this, he wants a bike he can work on and fix up and maybe do some paint work and learn how to work on bikes and everything. And I thought, I don't know if he knows this. When I was growing up, I was like most of my friends, like all of my friends, I was very poor. And buying a new bicycle was out of the question, but there were always bikes in the garbage. And there were always things you could find somewhere that you could piece things together. And thank you to Harold Price, who taught me how to use a spray gun when I was a young teenager. I put that all to good use. And over my lifetime, I've had a lot of bikes that I bought really inexpensively, really cheaply, made them serviceable, used them, abused them. Almost always, if I did sell them, I got way more than what I paid for them. So that, when you snowball that up over a lifetime, you wind up in a pretty good situation. If you buy a new car every year and you lose $10,000 every time you trade it in, not so much. Anyway, when you buy old stuff and fix it up, sometime you really come out ahead of the game. Now, in that vein, and of course I try to keep these in some kind of sequence, they don't always come in sequence though. Our good friend Scott, up in Connecticut, is looking to start a project with his son. Now, I think that's really cool because over my lifetime, when Craig was growing up, we worked on his cars. And he put in these stereos that were bigger than the car. And he had a Honda. He took the doors off to put speakers in. And we had a lot of adventures. He learned how to put brakes on a car. Well, it's still a lot of fun working on cars. But I like to work on motorcycles even more. So Scott is looking to start a project. And Scott and I correspond almost every day. We're going to show some pictures of his project somewhere on this video. One of them is done nice. and it looks perfect too. And I explained to him one of the things I found out about buying inexpensive motorcycles and then trying to turn them into good bikes over my lifetime now, even back in the 60s and 70s. One of the things was, can you get parts for this bike? Now, some bikes, like RDs, you can still get the parts right now. You almost can make an RD from parts. Some bikes, and I think, but I'm not sure, that BMW still stocks parts for some of their really old bikes. Again, I'm not a BMW guy. My father owned BMWs his whole life, and I don't know why I was never attracted to them. I like Japanese bikes. I like bikes that I can fix myself and get parts inexpensively, and then paint them. And they look like they're worth a lot more than what I have into them. But anyway, Scott, I mentioned to Scott about, he was looking at some old Moto Guzzi or various Moto Guzzis or whatever. And check the wire, make sure the wiring. Check that you can get the parts. I know Mark Morgan had a Paseo or something, and he couldn't get parts for it. That was, wow, was that a pain in the neck? And he was trying to put a carburetor that didn't belong on there on. And another thing to keep in mind, and we dealt with this on the last one, is if you get a bike with anything but 17-inch rims, you might have trouble getting tires in this day and age. The way this is all played out, getting tires is getting more and more difficult for the 19-inch, the 16-inch tires. Luciano even had a problem with the GPZ 1000 had 16-inch rims. And my 750 has a 16-inch front rim, an 18-inch back rim. It's always a pain in the neck getting tires. They're always out of stock, or you get one and it's 4 years old already. So, good idea to check that before you dive in to a restoration project. And Ahmed, I have to tell you a saying. Ray Straub had a great saying. I heard this even when we were young kids. If you want something bad enough and don't have it, if you really want that bike and you don't have it, what it means is you don't want it bad enough.
So Scott in Connecticut has been sending me pictures on a regular basis as he did the restoration. He did paint work on a tank, and we've had it on previous videos. He's looking to get a project bike now, and I suggested to him, of course, check what you're buying and make sure you can get parts. He was caught up in looking at the value of the bikes on these things, and I don't know about that. I know the value of a bike is what you can get one person on the planet to pay for it. But he's done a great job. He's working on a rear suspension now, and he's already done the motor, and we've already gone for a test ride on the rebuilt motor. Now, of course, one of the things I enjoy, and one of the joys I get from the channel, is I post up videos of various things of motorcycles, painting, polishing, going to track days, whatever. Even the video of us going to France with Karen and I going to France got a lot of hits. I was shocked. But anyway, these are the little comments I enjoy, and thank you one and all for sending in these type of comments. A fellow named Patrick, he has an 850, a 550, an 80. You think I would learn how to talk, huh? An 84 GS 550 with 14,000 miles, and he wanted an 1100. He said, but in Chicago they're hard to find. And he thinks it's the best looking bike. Patrick, I agree. There's certain things that I have a taste in pretty much everything, in model airplanes, trains, cars, and especially motorcycles. I have what I like, and I like it. And things I don't like, I don't have to tell you over and over again. I don't like flat black parts. And my friends that do, we're still friends and we can still share a pizza. Anyway, a fellow named, I don't even know how you say it, OUT, or the sign for an internet, UT. Anyway, he thought laying out tape took a lot of skill. Well, it does, but this is a simple thing that it's hard to convince people of this, but it is true. And I can prove this over and over again, and so many people have learned how to paint in my shop. When you start laying out tape or decals, or you start painting and making patterns and various things, the first time you do anything, it's a little difficult. The first track that you go to, you go a little nervous. But as you get more and more experience, almost always you get better and better at it. I don't know how to explain it.
So my suggestion was get an old gas tank, make sure it has no gas in it, go buy a couple of rolls of fine line tape, and start doing practice the designs you like. Try to lay it up, peel it up, get used to doing it. It's how I learned. It's how everybody learns. There's no school, not that I know of, unless you go to bitch and ride school or something, and they'll show you. And whatever you like, the designs you like, once you're happy with them, paint it as practice. When you're done, take some acetone and a rag and wipe it off. That whole thing, practice makes perfect, is absolutely true.
Now, I had plenty of practice my whole life, really, of building model airplanes. All of that paintwork. There were no decals anywhere on these planes. Everything you see is paint or ink. And I snowballed that into being able to do the similar thing on motorcycles.
Now, I always get comments like this, and the purpose of answering them this way is I can do it in a more detailed, eyeball-to-eyeball fashion and share them with more people. I hope I'm saying the gentleman's name right. Chanel. He's impressed that I could move the GS around like a feather. And it's not a feather, trust me. If it starts falling, you better be on your toes. And moving that Ducati on the ice, we moved 3 Ducatis, and especially his race bike with the clip-on. Oh my God. On ice, when you're moving a heavy bike and it starts going, and you turn the wheel and nothing happens, it just keeps going. A day to remember. Anyway, if you are impressed, all I can say to you, I'm 78 years old. The only thing I've done right in my whole life is eat a lot of vegetables because of Karen. Other than that, I haven't really been the poster boy for how to live your life. Anyway, Henry Hawk. And Henry and I go back, and thank you for sharing all those pictures, Henry. He's been all over the world, 9,000-mile rides on his Motor Guzzi, and he sends me pictures almost every day. And he agreed with Joe Roselli, who came up with the best comment I've ever heard. I've taken it to heart. Ride the bike you like. If your friends are riding bike X and you want to ride bike Y, just ride. If they don't want to be friends with you, it's on them. Ride the bike you like, and don't be caught up, and I have to keep up with the schmazools or something. I have never understood that, because when I was riding RDs, some of my friends had Triumphs and Sportsters, and then I'd get an H1 and they'd get something else, and you ride the bike you like. A Joe, I've taken it to heart many times. I've actually used it in the rest of my life. In the world of model railroading, you have the guys who like high rail trains and guys who prefer HO or Z or smaller gauges or whatever, garden railroads. And it's kind of the same thing goes on. I like all the trains. If I see model trains somewhere, I don't have to, I don't like that, I don't like that. I like to look at them all, and I like in Dale's get-togethers, the market meetups especially, everybody's looking at everybody else's bike, whether you have that bike, this bike, that bike, it's wonderful. That camaraderie is what makes motorcycling kind of special to me. Anyway, another nice one. RBFC Labs. He loved the R1 with the handlebars, and he loved the, well, I do too, to be honest. And the whole idea of the R1, in '09 they did not make a version of the R1 with handlebars, but I wanted an R1 motor. I wanted that cross-plane motor. I wanted it very badly. And I decided I would do all the things I did to the bike over the years to make it comfortable for me. And it's worked well for me. It's not difficult to do. It's a little tricky, but there's no part of it you can't solve if you're determined to do it. And then when you're done, you have a real R1 with handlebars that's just comfortable to ride and has that real R1 motor. And I don't know, now they make these bikes, I know Yamaha doesn't, Honda, I don't keep up with it. They make the same thing, but they always say in the advertisement, oh, the motor's been detuned for better low-end torque. When I want an R1, I don't want low-end torque. I want to just scare the bejesus out of myself.
And being really honest, it took me many years to get this bike exactly the way I wanted it. The bars were a big thing. The paintwork, the badging, the fact that it was a Ferrari bike. I made an exhaust system for it. I painted the wheels. I made several seats and backrests. But in the end, the point that I'm trying to make is all of that work in the end, I have a real R1 motor in this bike.
Now, another nice email, and again, I love getting these emails, these comments. WYPA, and again, if I'm saying something wrong or I have this a little wrong, it's on me. He has a GS 1100E, and he says an old friend is the best friend, and boy, that's the truth. When you have friends for your whole life, the same friends for many, many years, when you have new friends every 2 weeks, I don't know. If I had to buy them more beer in a bar or something. And especially motorcycle people that I've known for so long. The A-Team, I'm still in touch with almost all of them. Sadly, some of them have already passed away, but we still have our great memories. Anyway, Paul, and Paul is another longtime friend. He loves the model train videos. He says it brings back great memories of when he was young. Well, everything in my life brings back memories. The RD brings back memories. And I do enjoy working on the layout. I've had it over 25 years. I know, and I'll deal with this a little bit more in detail later in the video. The train videos, the model airplanes, when I posted that Spitfire video, I got a lot of people contacting me. Michael Ferguson, who carved one of the little airplanes that's on the layout in the control line field. I got Warren Walker. Thank you, Warren. Warren was the one proposed making that video, and I did. It's looking like it's a very popular thing, and it's allowed me to reconnect with a lot of my friends that I haven't really connected in a long time since I've been kind of out of modeling. But you're out of it, but you're never really totally out of it. It's like the mafia; they draw you back in. Like maybe that's not a good analogy. Anyway, Mr. Smith, comment on the GS video that my 16, I guess he has some hot rod stuff on it, is a lot of fun. Well, it's a lot of fun having a stock one too. I don't know, I never rode one that was 1640. That must be a monster though. But that's the whole point. Like Joe Roselli had so right. If you like making a hot rod GS, or you want to keep it stock, or you're one of the people like me in between, I want it a little bit custom and polished and painted, and whatever you like, that's the thing to pursue. Don't do what other people are doing. And boy, I remember when drag racing was king, and at GS, man, you'd go, no matter where you'd go, hey, if you ever want to sell that motor, I'll make a hot rod out of it. They were making go-karts out of them and everything. Anyway, Chris, my 2007 GS XR has 78,000 miles. Well, I have 78,000 on my GS. That's kind of cool. And still runs pretty good, too. And I remember Tim, who we have kind of lost touch with, but I rode his 850 that had 80,000 miles on it. We switched bikes one day on 106, and his 850 ran great with 80,000 miles. So one thing about those GS Suzukis, and I guess a lot of bikes, Moto Guzzies too, are known for standing the test of time. A lot of miles. People that have them year after year after year, and they fall low. Henry Hawk probably could verify that. They stand the test of time well.
Now, it's amazing to me. Old bikes, old friends. We get together for a two-stroke day, and it doesn't matter what the weather is, and it doesn't matter if the bikes run great or not, or if somebody has a breakdown. It doesn't matter at all. It's about the friendships and about the things that we've shared in the world of motorcycling have made for some lifelong friendships. And these old two-strokes and old friends, these are things that have stood the test of time.
Okay, this is from Ken Mata, M-A-D-A. Has an 83 GS with a Yash pipe, and he said it was a monster. They're monsters when they leave the factory, and you can only make them meaner and worse. They are mean when they're worked on. And so many people make hot rod parts for those engines. Oh my God. And this is a sad thing. He says those were the good old days. Well, Ken, they were the good old days for sure. I don't disagree with that. But I think the days we all live in now are pretty good too. The days of, even the days after the A-Team has gone on Social Security and whatever, gone into a nursing home. We're still having a lot of fun with these old motorcycles, and with the new ones, and with the MT-09. Oh, when you get old, the one thing you always want to have is that you feel young again. At least I do anyway. Maybe you do too. But and motorcycles, GSs, RDs, they will help you stay young. And you eat those veggies and have an RD and a GS. Hey, I have all of them. Look at me. Well, maybe not. Anyway, this is a key point. This is absolutely something slips by a lot of people. It doesn't slip by me, and I'm trying to share this with you. YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is crazy and kids are posting up nonsense all the time. Maybe they think my stuff is nonsense too. I don't know. But one thing about YouTube now, Warren Walker proposed this video I've made about the Spitfire bedroom. And again, thank you, Warren. Warren was a great friend years ago. He built planes that I designed, the Red Baron and different things, and similar things anyway. And one of the things, he was at my house and parked his motorhome out in front of my house, and he stayed here for a couple days. We went to a model plane contest. I went to his house in California. I don't remember what year it was, and the fires in California were burning, and they would those things that drop water were flying right over his house. Quite an adventure. And one of the things, Warren, I remember, this was the coolest thing I remember about your whole house. He had a swimming pool in his garage that you're swimming in the water. I never saw that before. But that's the cool thing about modeling, a cool thing about motorcycles. Doesn't matter what, model railroading. You make friends that are very unique and share your passion. And when you do, a lot of times 10 years later, you haven't even seen them. They don't forget who you are, and you don't forget who they are. Anyway, and that, there used to be a word for it, and I don't know, I think Bob Hunt was the one that invented the word or used it. Crossover technology, that you may learn how to paint the model plane, but then you can go paint a car or a motorcycle. You can paint a motorcycle, you can go paint your house, or you can have a skill set. You ride a motorcycle, ride a dirt bike, and you could fly a model plane. Or crossover technology, and it might have been Bob Hunt. I don't really remember, but that was a good way to look at life.
There's a few photos of Dallas's parts bike that he did a restoration and cleanup on. Hey, one final thing about Warren Walker, a story. When I was out in California, he had a welding shop, a construction shop, and he had the most unusual piece of artwork hanging on a wall. And I mean hanging on a wall like you would hang a picture. He had either a 63 or a 64 Ford Galaxy, a white one, hanging on a wall like it was a picture 20 feet high off the ground. Cool.
Before I go on to the Najat story, there's one left, and I think this absolutely made me cry. I have not heard from Uwe Degner since I was at the first or the second model airplane clinic that I did in England. Uwe came from Germany. We got to correspond, we shared pictures, oh my God. And he sent me a note. I don't want to read it because it sounds like I'm being self-serving, but he was very complimentary. It brought a tear to Karen's eye to see how many people that still remember those seminars in England, and they're still, they still remember what fun we all had together. And modeling will do that, motorcycle will do it, but you have to have a passion for something. You can't just have no passion. So if you like golf, if you like tennis, if you like whatever you like, if you have that passion for it, you wind up making friends who have a similar passion. And that's what I've been able to do most of my life.
Here's some pictures from Scott out west. He has a passion for motorcycles, and he restored this car. And when I saw these pictures, I was thinking of that car hanging on a wall in Warren Walker's welding shop, and it was against the wall. All four tires were against the wall. It was very, very impressive, Warren. Very impressive.
So I wanted to share one final thing as we end this video. My good friend Najat and I have been friends for 12 years, maybe more, maybe less. Not really important. I met him at a bike meetup called the Oil Spill in Middletown, I think it was. And we met that day and we got to be instant friends. We went on many, many rides together, and that was great. He came to my house. We've gone to dinner together. Just wonderful. Now, over the years, we've done a lot of things together. He's learned how to paint in my shop many, many times. He's done an awful lot of videos. He went and got involved in track days, went and bought a track day Ducati, one of the ones we moved, on the ice here, and boy was that ever slippery. Woo! But we went to track days. He brought a mechanic with him to work on a bike, so he didn't have to work on it. And over the years, we've shared a lot of good times together, a lot of rides, among other things. But what I wanted to mention, and this is a key thing, and I think it's important if you understand this, that when we had the A-team, we used to all share our skills, and a couple of guys had tire changing machines, and Bobby Navola, late Bob Navola, had a heated garage, and Vince knew how to work on electronics, Luciano knew how to work on various mechanical things. We all shared the information. We had a lot of get-togethers too. But Najat was kind of special in one area. He knew about photography, and he knew about video. So what happened is, when I wanted to convert my channel over, and it's all 4K now, it wasn't an easy thing. It's not as easy as just going to the store and buying something. I wanted the best camera I could buy. And I leaned on Najat's expertise as a professional photographer, among other things. And he researched out about getting the camera. The first camera we got was a very, very expensive camera. And got it from Amazon. And this is a true story. It went out of warranty 2 days, and the lens stopped opening and shutting. And they wouldn't take it back. I leaned on him again. He got on a phone with them, and it was a half-hour phone call, and I had a return label on the printer. Now, when I was converting over to 4K, both John Pothier and Najat, we upgraded the computer. You need a bigger computer memory to do it, among other things. And he gave me an awful lot of his time, an awful lot, and he was very, very helpful in doing research to get the right stuff. But now we all have the 4K channel, and I've got so many nice comments about it. Even the model railroad is in 4K. The trip to France was in 4K, and I owe it all to Najat. But the bottom line with all this stuff is, through motorcycling, or through these passions that you share, you make friends that you can share things with. Now, Joe Roselli brought his family over here a couple of weeks ago, and his son-in-law is into model railroading. He wanted to see the model railroad. We spent 2 hours up running trains and looking at the Spitfire bedroom and everything. We shared the technology. Joe has helped me over the years. Those pictures that I have in the shop, as you come down the stairs, that are made at night, the light painting, priceless stuff. So what I'm always thinking, and I don't know why it slips by a lot of people, that yes, you love motorcycles and you love your blank, blank, blank bike. And your friends have a blank, blank bike. But the real thing you do, if you're really passionate about it, you share your life with people. You share your story. Turbo Steve has helped me with the getting the wind noise out of the videos. He did a lot of research and figured out and where to buy it. So many people have helped me over the years. I want to thank one and all. From starting with Harold Price, who taught me how to paint, and I've been able to share that with a lot of people over my lifetime. And at this point in my life, sharing things on YouTube is something I really enjoy.
Now, I'm never quite sure what makes a friendship last a lifetime or a long time, but I know Najat enjoyed the time he spent in my shop, and he took to painting like a duck to ice water. And it was snowing when we did a lot of this work, but I remember he was really loving it. And I was so happy to see him fulfill one of the dreams he had. He had this track bike, and he wanted to make it a custom paint work, and he really put a lot of time into it. We did so many things over at my shop, and he was helping, I was helping him, he was helping me. And what it turned out is, years and years have gone by. The photography he's helped me with, the video work, it's just been a great friendship. And I'm so happy now to congratulate him on having a beautiful house, a new house, and we helped move his stuff, and we got most of it. One bike is still in my garage, but I remember the purple Ducati. That's still in our future. And all of the things we did together, the rides, the track days, the fun, the trips that and this was another thing I never forgot. He had this carrier. He got this car, and he got a carrier to carry his track bike, because he was doing a lot of track days. He was going almost every weekend. And of course, he had a professional mechanic come with him, and he was wearing out slicks on a regular basis, so tire warmers and the whole thing. But anyway, that's all the part. That part of it doesn't isn't really the important part. The part that's really important is through motorcycling and through sharing our passion, he became a great friend for many, many years, as many of my friends have done. And the track days was a lot of fun, but the best part of all, and I look back with great envy, the A-Team. And thanks so much for watching and supporting the channel.